Here's how I gained 20% trade in the NASDAQ. As you can see, we're already at all-time highs. We're constantly breaking highs and respecting these lows. Then after all this trendline liquidity, including these equal lows, were induced, it goes down lower. It creates a fake out, but actually this was just to hit this POI and go back down, sweep the liquidity of resting orders. Then it continues its trend because it manipulates the people who were early buyers here. And if you would have sold here, you were trading, some good liquidity, Same thing again, this high gets swept, this low gets respected. Now these lows don't get respected, but there's a reason for it, and it's because these are relatively equal lows, and they were generated by the market makers to basically build up liquidity in order so they can sweep and use that liquidity to fulfill their directions. It also went into this POI, so that's even more of a confirmation. This is on the weekly time frame, by the way, so now it's great liquidity, and that's why there's so much fuel, and it destroyed all the highs at all-time highs. So it's just great quality liquidity. But not only that, but it's also very good into the high time frame direction. So as you can see, I lost this trade here because I was an early buyer, but if I would have re-entered right here, I would have won. I took this big old trade, but I don't think it's won yet, but it might. But anyways, it's not important. What really is important is these couple trades right here. I took this trade. I took it because it was a continuation of this sweep of liquidity, or inducement I should say. A, we have one confirmation. We have equal lows. B, we have equal highs. Both were swept. And equal lows and equal highs are relatively great places for liquidity. We also have the trendline liquidity right here. So that's another great. This high was taken. This low was induced. These relative equal lows were induced. And it went into this low time frame POI, but I'm pretty sure on the high time frame it's also there too. Let me check. Correct, it was there too on the high time frame, which means we have two analysis to basically respect on. So then after it destroyed this high, you could have taken a trade here, but I feel like it looked a little bit weird. Well, I guess it's valid confirmation because it took this low, but it's on the 1 minute time frame, so it's kind of crazy, so I don't really trust that. But then it creates a really good place for liquidity. It sweeps this little minute liquidity, but we have these large wicks and candles, so it's not really good liquidity. But the good liquidity really started right here. We have this modest trendline liquidity, but right now we're not looking for very good amount of orders. We're looking for a continuation trend, and this is a good place to continue from, simply because of this area of Fibonacci retracement tool. We're at around the relative area of good price, 3%. It's around it relatively, and just on the really low time frame. We don't need much liquidity to be swept, but it's just a continuation trade. So we're continuing to a point. This wouldn't be a good trade for, I don't know, a 1 to 20, but it would be a good trade for a 1 to 10 on the low time frame. So actually this trade, it didn't go out all the way to a 1 to 12 like I hoped. It went to just a 1 to 10, and then I took another trade, this 1 to 5. It failed because I was an early buyer, and I was the one who got liquidated right here. But I re-entered and I made another 1 to 10. These trades don't really count as much because these I only risk I think, 0.5%. So these aren't actually official trades, but I guess you can count them too. And the reason why I took this trade right here is because this trendline liquidity was looking very good. And also I wanted to target this high, which I did and it succeeded. But I did not go beyond this high because again, we are at a relatively good place to sell off at. And that's exactly what freaking happened. It went over here to this POI probably. It sold off, and it sold off because, I don't know, maybe it needed more liquidity because sure we're at all-time highs, but remember, liquidity is only the objective of orders. So if the market makers and institutions want to push price lower to get some more liquidity and then fulfill their next objective, for instance, they could try to take this high again because obviously we're at all-time highs. But yeah, the trend on liquidity was looking good. Not only that, but beforehand we already had a good continuation. And it doesn't always matter if the current trade has good liquidity, but if a lot of liquidity was swept prior to it, for instance right here and then right here, that also fuels the market to then create continuation trades. So this doesn't need much liquidity to continue and break this high. However, if you are looking for a professional trade, you would like to take your entries, somewhere, somewhere around here. But yeah, that's it. Made 20%. If you need any more trade breakdowns,